as 6 shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Jo here with SportsGrid. It's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid, on SportsGrid TV. On X, we got a loaded slate out there on the ice today, and I really hope you guys joined me on Sports Rage last night when the Red Wings were down in that matchup versus the Sabres. We were talking about that on this show, taking the Red Wings once they went down. We were able to grab them at plus 870, yes, plus 870 on the Detroit Red Wings to come back and get the win. Now, we did have that overtime as well. So we got the overtime bet with the Red Wings winning that in OT. So, yeah, the Rangers suck. If anyone can explain what is happening with the New York Rangers out there, Timothy, please do. I'm not sure what is going on within that locker room of this team. This team needs to come together, and they're just not able to do so. So let's get to it. The Cup of Joe will be out later today. And good morning to each and every one of you. Warning on the show today, FanDuel doesn't have anything except for the money line, the puck line, and the total bets up. I'm not able to give you those odds from FanDuel today. So any odds that I'm giving you are just from what I've shopped around on other books. Not sure what's happening with FanDuel. Probably they're just like upgrading something within their hockey system. So when you click on more wagers, you're not able to put those in as of yet, but I'm sure it will be fixed within the next little bit. I wouldn't be shocked if it gets fixed on the show. So we will be checking on some of those tabs with some things that I'm recommending when I'm giving you a team total and I'm liking it to the over. Of course, you guys, if you go in this afternoon, that team total over 2.5 is minus 160. You know my money will not be going there. I'll only be betting them if they're within that range. Now, for me, minus 144 bet is the highest. I like to go on things like that, so I will caution you with those because I just don't know them as of yet. I also don't know the value we're getting on overtime. I think if you're getting overtime at plus 310, the book's pretty much slam dunk. We saw that yesterday with that Red Wings game. It was a plus 310 overtime. Anytime we're seeing that value at only plus 310, the books are really hedging their risk in that those are cashing for us left, right, and center. Those plus 380s, of course, we're getting more value there, but we are seeing the plus 310s coming to play. Let's jump into today's games. We're going to go over each and every single one of them. And like always, you guys, we will do the recap at the end of the show. So if you can't hang out, make sure you do come back. Again, if you can hit that like button, hit that retweet button, hit that subscribe button, I so greatly appreciate it, you guys. So let's get going. Kev, thank you for being here each and every single day. We're firstly going to look at the Philadelphia Flyers. They're taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, Elvis expected and Urgent expected in net here for the Flyers. The Flyers, they've lost their last 3. This team is struggling. One of those losses was in overtime on Sunday versus Utah. And one of the losses was in overtime, and then they did lose to Utah. It was actually not an OT because it was a 4-2 loss. So this team has had their struggles in keeping things close. When we look at the Columbus Blue Jackets, they are off that win versus the Winnipeg Jets. Great win there. It was a nice fade spot for Winnipeg in their scheduling spot that they were in. The Columbus Blue Jackets won that 4-1. Now, this is our first game home off a long road trip. You guys, they spent 5 games out there on the road in 8 days. So a lot of games, short time, only 8 days. They went 2-3 on that road trip. And I know they should come in with some momentum after beating the Winnipeg Jets, but I think this is a flat spot for them versus the Flyers. I think the Flyers could win this and win this in overtime. They're 6-0 on the puck line on their last 6 road games. Last 4 road games have gone to overtime, which is absolutely insane when you really start breaking it down. So they got the overtime win over the Senators 5-4. They got an overtime win versus the Predators 3-2. They beat the Blues 3-2. That wasn't, and then a loss to the Bruins. So all of those overtime games out there. So this team has been playing really tight. I actually think they have the ability to beat Columbus because of the scheduling spot home from a road trip here. of the Columbus Blue Jackets. I'll take the Flyers. I'll take this one to go to overtime for them to be able to get that win. Irish King, thanks for joining me here today. Yo, Jojo. I like that. Okay, Toronto versus the New Jersey Devils. The Toronto Maple Leafs have dominated against New Jersey Devils, and it's interesting because Sheldon Keefe was the head coach here. He's now the head coach of the New Jersey Devils, and I know a lot of people like to look at that revenge angle, what this team can do for their coach that was the former coach of the other team. I can't buy into that revenge angle because you look at how strong the Leafs have played the New Jersey Devils. They won the last 8 meetings in New Jersey. This is a team that comes in, they roll over on them. Now, the scary thing about this one, and I forgot to give you the odds for the Flyers. The Flyers are -118 favorite, so that's where I'd go with that game versus Columbus. But when we look here at Toronto, we know they're always overpriced. This is a game where why are they +116 here? I expected this to be closer to a pick 'em with them rolling into New Jersey, especially how they've done versus the Devils. Is there something that we don't know that the books know? Because the Devils -140 favorite here at home. I know a lot of people look at the Devils, and I love the Devils team. I do think this team has every ability to make it all the way to the Stanley Cup with some smart play out there on the ice. I love the under 6.5. I think we got a defensive battle between these two. That's -130 to the under. If you want to take it over, I could see it going over if we get a situation where that third period becomes nuts as these teams try to tie it up and then the other team answers back, those kind of situations. But realistically, what I think plays out in this game is we see the Leafs do what they're trying to do, which is lock down on the defensive side. I know there's firepower on both sides of the ice out here, but I think we really do have a 3-2 game that is in overtime with the Leafs getting the win. Starlo, I cannot pronounce his name today. I'm having one of those brain fart days. We've got Jacob Markstrom in here for the New Jersey Devils, and Stolar is coming in. There we go. We got it now. Stolar is coming in here for the Leafs. Now, it's interesting to look at him as well. Stolar grew up in the New Jersey area, so this will be a game back at home. We should see a lot of family and friends in there for him in this one. So we also look at him versus Devils in his career. He has a 2.38 goals against average and a .926 save percentage. We also know Jacob Markstrom has been strong in net. Now, his last game versus the Leafs was the Leafs win in October, 4-2. He allowed those 4 goals on 22 shots on net. So you got to think Jacob Markstrom has to have a bounce back. He can't allow the Leafs to get so hot against him in this game. Now, that total of 6.5, the last game did stay under with that 4-2 win by the Leafs. Could we see it going that way? Yeah, we absolutely could. But I think it's more of a 2-2 game going into overtime. Now, if you want to look at playmakers to come out nice and strong out here, I would be looking at Austin Matthews for his anytime goal. We know Austin Matthews so hot out there on the ice. And when we look at him versus the Devils, this is where he has really excelled versus the Devils. 18 goals in 19 meetings versus the Devils in his career. In the last 11 matchups, we've seen 8 goals out of him. So if you want to look for Austin Matthews for his goal tonight or his points tonight, again, I can't get you those odds on FanDuel, but that's where I would be looking. Jack Hughes has been hitting those shots on goal. My fear here is if you take him for 3+ shots on goal, the books aren't going to give you any value. I don't know what you're getting. Again, if you're getting Jack Hughes for 3+ shots on goal, I would take it to the over. I expect him to get right on that 3. I want to take it up to 4+ because the Leafs are trying to lock down on that defensive side of the puck. So at 3+, I like it depending on the juice as long as it's not above. And for shots on goal, I don't want to go over -120 on shots on goal. So if it's 3+ shots on goal at -120, sign me up. 3+ shots on goal at -130, there's no way I'm going to touch it because when you look at those shots coming in, there's some times where you're sitting there going, that was definitely a shot on goal. The books don't register it. It doesn't count on their cards. So he's averaging 3.53 shots on goal per game. So you got the angle with Sheldon Keefe. You've got the Leafs just being able to dominate the Devils here. And then you look at the power play here for the Devils. It's a strong power play. Jasper Bratt and Jack Hughes leading the way on the power play. Both of these players have 17 power play points on the season. So if you really want to take something for the Devils, I'd look at the power play points between those two guys. You're going to get, plus or like 4-1 to your money on taking them. So that is where I'm going. Yeah, and the Devils power play is absolutely elite. So I'm glad that you are coming in with that. It's fantastic. I just can't get off the fact that Toronto's rolled in here. They've won their last 8. This team is locking down defensively, and we're getting such a hot price for them. And they do play hot and cold. They show up for the games they need to show up for, and they fall apart versus the teams that they should roll over. So it is a hard call taking the Toronto Maple Leafs. As a Calgary fan, hell, I don't want to see them win. I want to see my ex-goaltender, Jacob Markstrom, be able to walk away with the win and hold his head high versus the Leafs. I'm biased against the Leafs, but at this price, I can't say no. I think the best bet, so the under 6.5 and the overtime in this one. Again, I can't tell you the value on the overtime. Just one sec. Okay, so that is where I would be looking. Chase, good to see you here as well. You're loving Tampa tonight. Tampa, yeah, plus money on Tampa versus the Edmonton Oilers. I'm with you on that one. No, yeah, Tampa Bay Lightning, yeah, they are facing the Oilers. I second guess myself all the time in those situations. You're going to take Austin Matthews anytime goal and points. Yeah, it's a great way to go. Okay, we're going to look at Colorado versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Pittsburgh Penguins plus 150 favorite, minus 182 here for Colorado, and we've got a total of 6.5. Minus 128 to the over 6.5. We're getting plus money to the over or to the under. We got Scott Wedgwood confirmed here for Colorado and Tristan Jarry for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, there's such strong offensive firepower out of Colorado. I really struggle to see the lack of defense that we've seen out of the Pittsburgh Penguins slow down Colorado's offense. We know that power play is clicking great, and Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon. There's so many playmakers here for Colorado, Ross Colton back in the lineup, that I do think we see this team just come out so strong. Now, they won their last 9 on the road as a favorite. This is the last game of a 5-game road trip here. They're sitting 3-1 on this road trip. They're home Thursday versus Utah. Yes, they're getting tired out there on the road, but we have the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're off a win versus the Leafs. They got a big win versus the Leafs, so even more reason to look at the Leafs today, especially off that loss. But we're seeing them step up offensively. Sidney Crosby, Malkin has been strong, but the problem is the defense in this one. So when we've got a hot offense here in Colorado, the Penguins offense has been strong too. I'm looking at the first period. Now, again, I can't get you odds on FanDuel because they are not opening those markets as of yet, but I expect it to come in soon. I'm going to take both teams to score in the first period. We will get plus money for that. That should be right around that plus 170 mark for both teams to score. It could be as low as plus 140 as both of these offenses have been driving at plus 140. It's still plus money, so I'll hit on it. My concern is the first period over 1.5. I think it's going to cash, but that is where we will see the juice. I would expect this first period over 1.5 to be minus 156. And if it's minus 156 out here, I just can't touch it because it's too highly juiced for me. But if you're comfortable with that, ideally, we'd love to see it come in at minus 126, and then we cash or hit on it, and we should cash it because I do think both teams have the opportunity to find the back of the net with Tristan Jarry and Scott Wedgwood. Your goaltending matchup tonight. So I expect offenses to rule this game. Now, if you like the Pittsburgh Penguins and you like if you like the Pittsburgh Penguins, you would look at the first period. They won their last 4 first periods at home. Again, I can't get you those odds, but you look at them there on the money line. They are the underdog at home in this one. I love playing an underdog in certain situations, and I want to see this happen. I want to see the Pittsburgh Penguins go up first in the first period, because then I want to come back in on Colorado. We know those odds currently on Colorado at minus 182. We're not going to lay on the money line. We also have seen Colorado not win by blowing people out. They're 0-8 on the puck line in their last 8 games. So I could see this being a 3-4 style win for Colorado in this at minus 182. It's untouchable right now. So live betting situation, if the Pittsburgh Penguins can get up in that first period, you're going to have a very short window to bet it. You're going to have to be watching this game because as soon as they score, I want to do the adjustment that the books are going to give us on the Avs on the money line. Again, in hockey, the over adjustment that they do on those lines is absolutely crazy. So you got to capitalize on it. Like I said, the Red Wings were down 2 goals yesterday. We were able to get them plus the 2.5 was minus 114. You are also able to get them at plus 870 on that money line. Those are the perfect situations that we're looking for these teams to fight back after one of these teams goes up early in that first period, gets those goals on the board. These teams are able to bounce back, and the books just adjust way too much in hockey. So I will be looking for that tonight with Colorado. I'm looking for the Pittsburgh Penguins to score the first goal. If the Penguins don't score the first goal, the Avs go up first. Okay, then I've lost the opportunity to bet on the Avs because then they are going to be such a big favorite. But then you're going to get the Pittsburgh Penguins, and depending how they play, and that's the scary thing. I'm not sure if I'll jump in on the Penguins plus the 1.5. I think if we saw the Avs go up 2 or 3 goals, then I would look at the Pittsburgh Penguins plus the 2.5. I told you the Avs really haven't been covering that puck line, but to trust the defense and the goaltending here of the Pittsburgh Penguins, we've got to know that this offense is going to click and jive and score on Scott Wedgwood. So if it's plus 2.5, I probably would look at it plus 1.5. I'm just not going to find the value in backing the Pens alive in this situation unless it's just crazy out there. Now, if you do want to look here at the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we talked about Ross Colton, Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, all the playmakers here for Colorado. Those power play points as well are in play tonight. But Brian Rust here for the Penguins is someone I would circle. He's been strong versus the Avs. He's got a goal in 4 of the Penguins' last 5 games versus the Colorado Avalanche. So Brian Rust is where I'd be looking for them. You know, Sidney Crosby and Malkin have been driving this team. So if you want to look at them for points, if you think they can get them on the board as well. Both teams to score. Absolutely. Let's go, Neil. Happy Tuesday. I can't believe it's Tuesday, December 10th. Countdown to Christmas is on. You've got your cup of Dunkins. I love it. That's awesome, Kev. Glad to hear it. Okay, should we combine the score of the first 10 minutes minus 174 and over 1.5? Yeah, the over 1.5 too juice for me at minus 154. If you can parlay the goal in the first 10 minutes and the over 1.5, I would look at parlaying them. If they don't allow you to look at parlaying them, you could take a chance of the goal in the first 5 minutes. It's absolutely crazy. You're looking for that goal straight out of the gate. When we have both of these teams off a win, it's not as urgent for me to see. It's not a bet I like to see because I don't think these teams are as urgent to get that goal on the board. When you have a team off a shutout loss, I love looking then at that goal in the first 5 minutes, especially when one of these teams looking to bounce back really hard. So you could look at parlaying those. Let's look at the San Jose Sharks. They're taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, Sharks, the biggest dog of the day. They're plus 390 here on the money line. Can they pull off the upset against the Carolina Hurricanes on a Tuesday night? It's a lot to ask. The Canes are coming in at minus 530. That's disgusting. The puck line is even disgusting, laying 1.5 at minus 188. Can't touch it. Unbettable situation for a side in this game. Total of 6.5, unless we play around with it. We're going to play around with it. Don't worry. Total of 6.5, minus 120 to the under. The one thing about the Carolina Hurricanes is they take every single opportunity to fire at the net. So if you're looking at player props in this one, you know Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis are your playmakers that you want to say, okay, can they get things done? Now, the San Jose Sharks actually haven't been as bad really as their record. This is a team that's pulled off some crazy upsets. They've been able to cover the puck line in a lot of these games. Their puck line today is coming in plus 1.5 at plus 152. What I want to see is another live betting situation in this one. I want to see the Carolina Hurricanes go up in that first period and for us to come back in on the Sharks plus 2.5. The Sharks have playmakers, and they really do, with Tyler Toffoli and Celebrini, but Will Smith is listed day-to-day right now. We don't know if he's going to be out there on the ice. And I do think the Sharks don't get completely blown out of the water. Do I want to take the money line? Absolutely. Do I feel like I'm just setting my money on fire, taking them on the money line in this matchup? I do, because of the fact that Carolina is off a loss. If Carolina was off a win, when we look at their schedule going ahead, it could have been a letdown for me, but they're off the loss to the Islanders, 4-3 loss on the road on Saturday. So they didn't have a long road trip. There's no reason for me to really think this team will have a letdown. They need to get this win. They're sitting third in the Metro. They want to climb the rankings here. So I do think It's Carolina. Carolina on the puck line in the first period, laying a half a goal. Now, you should be getting value there. If you're not getting value on Carolina in the first period, laying the half a goal at like minus 120 even, if it's that high, I wouldn't touch it, you guys. I really do think it's one of those games where the value is just not really there. So, but what I want to see the Canes go up. I want to see the Sharks fight their way back and at least keep it within that plus 2.5. You can take them plus 1.5 right now. I also think the Sharks team total, I think we're actually going to see them put a couple goals up here on Chekhov. I can't talk today, you guys. We're just going to say, I can't say goalie names today. I have no clue why. Maybe more coffee is needed, not more hockey is needed. I think they'll score on Chekhov here. Their team total, I'm not sure of. I'm assuming their team total is over 2.5 because they're such an underdog here and we know the Canes can lock down on defense. If we can get them over that team total of 2.5, I'm pretty sure the books are going to give us plus money. If they're giving me plus 130 for the over 2.5 for the Sharks, I will hit on it. If they're not giving me the plus 130, if they're letting me lay juice or it's like a plus 110, I'm not hitting on it either. So again, I like the team total over 2.5 if we're getting plus 130 or better odds on that. I would look at Celebrini too. I'd look at some goal scorers. I told you about Seth Jarvis and Sebastian Aho. I do think they come to play here for Carolina. You could look at Brett Burns as well. I love the defenseman to register the point tonight. But when we look at the Sharks, it's Celebrini and Tyler Toffoli. Now, Celebrini and Tyler Toffoli, you should be getting basically 3-1 to your money for those anytime goals for them tonight. So if you're getting the 3-1 market, I would definitely look at Celebrini and Tyler Toffoli to be able to get those goals on the board. Carolina in regulation, let me know what value you're getting on Carolina in regulation. If I'm going to have to lay juice at anything above minus 140, I'm not going to look at it. So let me know what you're getting there. Okay. Let's talk an under game, you guys. I love talking these under low scoring battles out there on the ice. The LA Kings taking on the New York Islanders. Now the total is 5.5, so it's a low total. The under is disgusting. It's a minus 150 to the under. Unbettable for me to that under. What I'm going to do in this one is I would adjust it to under 4.5. I do think the Kings can win this 2-1. Again, let's just see if they've opened up this market. Still, nothing here on FanDuel when you click on more wagers. If you can get the under 4.5 goals in this game, you're going to get great plus money on your books. I think the Kings win this 2-1 versus the New York Islanders. Now, the Kings are minus 134 on the money line. You could parlay the under 5.5 and the Kings on the money line. That's coming in at plus 187. I don't hate that because that's exactly how I see the game going, the under and the Kings. So I would like that at plus 187. I think this is just a defensive battle. David Rittich expected here in net for the LA Kings and Sorokin for the New York Islanders. Now, this is the first game of a hard road trip for the LA Kings. It's a 7-game road trip. They'll be out on the road until the break for Christmas. So they'll be slugging their way through. And you look at this road trip, that the Devils on Thursday, the Rangers on Saturday, which it looks like anyone can beat the Rangers right now. The Pittsburgh Penguins on Tuesday, the Flyers on Thursday, the Predators on Saturday, and the Caps on Sunday. So a lot of games out there for them. This team's rolling so freaking hot, you guys. They've won their last 5 games. They got that Saturday win versus the Minnesota Wild. To beat the Wild in the way they did, putting up 4 goals, was so impressive. That was a 4-1 win. Now the Isles, they have allowed 28.7 shots on goal this season. So it's not terrible numbers, but their kill is disgusting. It's a 65.1% PK out there. The only benefit is that they don't take a lot of penalty minutes. Their best team for staying out of the box, only averaging 5.3 penalty minutes per game. We need the Islanders to stay out of the box because the Kings, well, they don't have an elite power play. They will be able to convert on that power play because the Islanders' kill is so weak. When we look at the LA Kings, this team is first in the league at locking down on the defensive side, only allowing 24.3 shots on goal per game. So David Rittich really does get that support. Now he's 10-6-0 on the season with a 2.45 goals against average at 891 save percentage. But again, he's getting that support in front of him. So I think the Kings can win this one, and they can win it in a 2-1 style battle. Now, could David Rittich get the shutout here versus the Isles? We could see it. If you're afraid of that total of 5.5, again, you got to shop the lines what you're getting on the Isles, but I look at the Isles team total under 2.5. I know they're at home, but I think they're going to struggle to score on the LA Kings. Under 1.5 in the first period, minus 145 for the Kings and Islanders. Oh, it's like so really tight to the number I like to bet. The under 1.5, minus 1 for, I don't know if I can get there. We should get that. Like, it should be, I just don't know if it's enough value for me. We shouldn't see those goals in the first period. If the goals come, I think it's the LA Kings. We know the Isles struggle to put those goals on the board. It should stay under 1.5. The minus 144 is like my limit in my head. I would like to see this at minus 130, and then I would bet it. It's a hard one for sure, but if you're willing to lay minus 145, I think it cashes tonight. The Boston Bruins taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Now, the Boston Bruins are the underdog on the road, plus 144. We know this team has really turned into a strong defense-minded team as of late, and while they've had some games where they've been able to put up a lot of goals on the board, I do think this is another defensive battle with the Winnipeg Jets. They cannot get into a back-and-forth battle out here, especially with how strong the Winnipeg Jets are on special teams. Now, the Jets are a minus 137 favorite here at home, total 5.5. We got juice to the under 5.5 at minus 120, but I do think we see it stay under that total. And I think this is an overtime game, which is scary. 2-2 overtime game, putting us at 5 goals, keeping us under the 5.5. I just really hope we don't go to OT 3-3 because it's sitting 3-2 and someone gets ties it up, or we see that empty netter that pushes us over, and then we lose both the under and the overtime bet. But the Jets, they've been strong, especially off of losses. They've been able to answer back. They're off the loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets, 4-1 at home, Sunday night on their second night of back-to-back. So they played on Saturday, they got the win, then they rolled, and Columbus rolled over them on the Sunday. Connor Hellebuck expected here, and Swayman expected for the Boston Bruins. Now, the problem about the Boston Bruins is their 5-on-5 play is allowing so many high danger opportunities. So it's not the power play, and it's not the kill that concerns me, which their kill isn't fantastic, but it's really that 5-on-5 play, how those high danger shots are rolling in. You look at the Winnipeg Jets and all of their playmakers, their ability to hit the top right corner pocket. Like, it's beautiful what we see out of this team out here, that I do think Winnipeg could get the win in this one, especially with Pastrnak. Pastrnak is listed day-to-day. This is a game I'm kind of going to stay off. I'm going to be honest with you. The Bruins have won 7 of the last 8 games versus Jets, so this should be a game that they win. But you look here at the Winnipeg Jets. They've got more depth. They're better on special team, better goaltender. I think it's best just to look at the under 5.5. I will look here at Kyle Connor for a power play point tonight. He's registered 9 power play points this season, and I think that will be the Bruins' undoing. If the Winnipeg Jets are able to win this, we'll be on that power play. But that recency and how strong the Bruins have played the Winnipeg Jets, I just can't shake it to take a side. So I really am loving the under 5.5. I'm looking for that defensive battle. I lean here on the Winnipeg Jets, but something keeps telling me don't do it. This Bruins team will get the win. The Jets will lose 2 in a row. So I'm going to stay off the side. But Kyle Connor, he has 15 goals and 18 assists on the season, 9 power play points. Mark Scheifele has 11 power play points, and Josh Morrissey has 11 power play points as well. So doing a combination of those guys, who you feel the best about getting those power play points. And then you could look also at their captain, Adam Lowry, to come out nice and strong. Actually, I like him for the anytime goal. Now, he should be about 5-1 for the anytime goal tonight. We know we don't talk about Adam Lowry a lot, but he is able to connect with the back of the net. The Calgary Flames. Oh, okay. So which trend's going to be broken? Can Calgary get a win on the road? Calgary's 3-7-4 on the road this season compared to 10-3-1 home record. They've lost their last 8 road games. 8 road games, okay? And then we got the Nashville Predators. They can't buy a win. This team is struggling to score out there. This is a team that, you look at their additions, Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and you look at what they added in the offseason. They should be clicking. They should be firing. This team is last in the league in goals so far this season. 61 goals only for the Nashville Predators. I'm blown away. Philip Forsberg really has been driving force for this team, as well as Roman Josi. But otherwise, it's like, come on, where are the playmakers coming from? Losing their last 7. First game home off a 4-game road trip. I think the Flames can win this. And I know I'm a Flames fan, and it sounds biased, but I'm going to take the Flames. The value is there. I don't want to jump. The Nashville Predators are minus 182 here at home, returning from a road trip, losing their last 7. It's not pretty. I can't get there at minus 182. The Calgary Flames have the value at plus 150. I think the under is where it's at. The under 5.5 at plus 100. Calgary struggled to put up those goals on the road as well. And the Preds, like I said, 61 goals only this season. So the under 5.5 coming in at plus 100. I'm going to look at parlaying the under 5.5 in Calgary to be able to come up with the win. I will parlay for a sprinkle. I will take them both separately as well. If you take the money line for Calgary and the under 5.5, it's coming in at plus 343 right now on FanDuel. So I will look there. I'm going to look at Rasmus Anderson if I'm getting 3-1 to my money for that anytime goal. He has a goal in 4 of the Flames' last 5 games as an underdog versus the Predators. So when they're in that underdog role, Rasmus Anderson really has stepped up. Now, Calgary already won this matchup back in November, a 2-0 win. That was back at home. They're not only losing on the road, losing their last 8, but when Calgary loses on the road, they're getting completely blown out. So if you do like the Predators, I would be comfortable laying the puck line if you like the Predators. I just don't think the Predators have it in them to get this win. Saros expected and Dan Vladar expected as well. You also see the Predators 0-8 on the puck line in their last 8 versus the Pacific. Of course, Calgary sitting here in the Pacific Division. So Calgary, if they want to make the playoffs, they're like a point out of playoff contention right now. They want to make the playoffs. They need their offense to really step up. They need this young talent like Connor Zary to come to life in these games out here. I hope we see it tonight. If Calgary comes out and is able to put 4 goals on the board, I still think the Predators only score 1, right? Like, I know Dan Vladar hasn't been the better of the goaltending duo here between Calgary or between Dustin Wolf and him, but I do think this is a game tonight Calgary needs. I know, I understand why he can't take Calgary. I really do. I can't take the Predators, so I can't lay juice. I think, you know what? Here's the way I'm looking at it. If this was reversed, if Calgary was rolling in and it's a minus 182 favorite and the Nashville Predators were plus 150 on the money line, I would sit here and tell you that the values on Nashville, I'm going to take a chance on them to hit it here at home with the plus money because I can't lay minus 182 on a team on the road that's lost their last 8 there and lost them miserably. So it's kind of like I'm playing the numbers. I'm playing Calgary because of the fact that we're getting plus money. This team wants to make the playoffs. They're hungry to make the playoffs. And I think that they break that losing streak today. I trust them more than the Predators as well, especially with the Predators not being able to score those goals. So I do think it's best to look maybe at the Predators team total under that 2.5. So it's going to be a battle out there on the ice. But ultimately, I see Calgary winning this 3-2. The Tampa Bay Lightning then take on the Edmonton Oilers. The Tampa Bay Lightning coming in here at a plus 130 underdog. Someone threw it out there, Tampa, at the start of the show. Apologies, I just names are slipping my mind today. I'm with you. Tampa plus 130 here versus the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers are a minus 160 favorite, almost total of 6.5, minus 102 to the under, minus 120 to the over. And we've seen these trends with these two teams fly over the last 3 games, flying over that total. You guys know I can't fully trust Stuart Skinner in net still. And Edmonton, while they've had, those crazy games like versus Vegas, 1-0 games, there's a lot of games where they put up a ton of goals and they've allowed those goals to come in. Andre Vasilevsky expected here for the Tampa Bay Lightning. We got hot offenses going at it tonight. I do think that will be the storyline of this game. Both of these teams have won their last 2 games out there on the ice, both winning their last game 4-2. So when we look at Tampa, they got Calgary on deck on Thursday, at Seattle on Saturday, and Edmonton will go out on the road to face Minnesota Wild on Thursday. Both of these teams sitting 4th in their division, Tampa 4th in the Atlantic, and Edmonton 4th in the Pacific. When we look at last season, the Tampa Bay Lightning were able to sweep the Edmonton Oilers in the regular season, and I'm going to go with them with that plus money. There's so much value here. They've also won their last 8 games against opponents on a winning streak, so they've been able to break opponents' winning streaks out there. And I love that because you guys know I'm a Calgary fan, and any reason for Edmonton and to bet against the Edmonton Oilers, just joking. Not really, but yeah, I'm against the Oilers tonight. I do think the Lightning can pull it off. I think your over is probably the best bet of the both teams to score in the first period. Again, if you're getting that around plus 150, I like both teams to score in the first period. If you're getting the over 1.5 minus 120, I would still hit on that as well. I think we've got the goals coming in right away. Braden Point has been such a great playmaker out there for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I would look at him for a goal tonight. He's been strong at getting those goals on the road. Braden Point for a point. You got to like it. Kucherov over shots on goal. Ben for a point. Yeah, Jamie Benn for the point. I like where you're going there. Okay, you guys, let's move on to the Minnesota Wild. They're taking on the Utah Hockey Club. Now, the Utah Hockey Club is the favorite at home at minus 115. We have the Minnesota Wild at minus 104, and we got a total of 5.5 in this one. Yes, there are a lot of 5.5s out there, and I absolutely love it. You guys know I love defense in football and defense in hockey. That's just how my mind works, and I love these lower scoring battles out there on the ice. I think this is lower scoring because I think Utah is going to struggle to score on Gustafsson, the goaltender expected here for the Minnesota Wild. He has been so phenomenally hot. Now that under 5.5 is coming in at minus 106. I can't believe we're not having to lay the juice on that. I think the Wild win, and it stays under. Gustafsson is 13-4-3 on the season with a goals against average under 2. It's a 1.99, a save percentage of 931. Vermalka expected here for Utah. Now, that could be the undoing because we know the Minnesota Wild, sometimes they get on these rolls and those goals just keep coming. If Vermalka has a hard night and the Wild decide that they want to show off their offensive production that they're able to do, because normally this team gets up and they lock down, right? Like we should see that. So if you're worried about the Wild trying to show off in this game, if they get up fast and then they continue to score with the defense breaking apart for the Utah Hockey Club, then you can just look at Utah's team total. Again, because FanDuel doesn't have these odds listed right now, I can't give you the odds. Utah's team total, if it's coming in at 2.5, if you're getting the under 2.5 at minus 120-ish values or better, I would hit on it. Again, if it's minus 140, under 2.5, I would stay off. But I do think the Wild can win this in a lower scoring game. I'm going to look at Kaprizov here for him to be so impactful in this one. And Matt Boldy, I think both of those players can register a point. You can parlay those points together for them. Yes, we will give out the recap at the end and those top 5 players for their points tonight. Absolutely. Let's make some freaking money, Mo. We're moving on to the St. Louis Blues and the Vancouver Canucks. Jordan Binnington expected here for the St. Louis Blues. Demko expected for the Vancouver Canucks. Now, he played in their last game versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. I expected more out of him. You guys threw out it was his birthday. We flipped from the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-1 win to the Vancouver Canucks, and it didn't come to fruition. Demko let in 4 goals in that matchup. Now, he's playing his second game after returning from knee injury out here, and I do think Demko, he was so strong last season, 35-14-2 with a 2.45 goals against average and at 918 save percentage. Should be strong in this game. We got Jordan Binnington coming in here for the Blues, and while the Blues have been able to get some wins, they did lose that last one to the Edmonton Oilers, allowing the Oilers to put up 4 goals, only scoring 2 themselves. Now, this is the team I love to take the St. Louis Blues in certain situations. I love to look at them to come out and get those goals, but they are in the bottom 5 of scoring goals on the season. So we know the playmakers that step up, Jordan Kyrou, Robert Thomas, they have the ability, Jake Neighbors, they have the ability to find the back of the net. Can they find it tonight on Demko is the biggest question. I'm going to take the St. Louis Blues in the first period. I think that's your best opportunity for them to hit Demko. He's been out. He's out forever, but he came out for that one game last game out on Saturday versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. We did see some shaky play out of him. Vancouver loves to bounce back off of losses. They've got that offensive firepower, but I do think with how the Blues have played Vancouver, we could see the Blues get up in the first. So they have beat Vancouver the last 2 meetings and 7 of the last 9. They've had this team's number. I'll just look for them here in the first period because I know Vancouver has the firepower to be able to score on Jordan Binnington. I think the Blues get a quick one here on Vancouver. And then you guys, I might come back in on the Vancouver Canucks on the money line if I'm getting the value. Because right now, let me just tell you those odds. Minus 172 for the Vancouver Canucks. I can't bet it. Plus 142 for the St. Louis Blues. So that first period money line for the St. Louis Blues should be right around that plus 120 mark. I am going to hit on that. This total sitting at 5.5, I expect it to stay under. So what I need to see is the Blues go up in the first period, and then the Vancouver Canucks come back in the second period, put up 2 goals, locked down in this one to finish 3-1. So this is what, or 2-1. This is what I'm hoping to see. I'm hoping for that minus 172 on the Vancouver Canucks to drop to a minus 115 favorite. They have had their struggles at home, and that's why I'm not willing to look at them here on the puck line. The puck line minus 1.5 at plus 146. This team 4-6-3 at Rogers Arena this season. So not a team I want to back really at home at this price, but as that price drops, they have bounced back in their games off a loss in their next game as a favorite. So, and they've lost their last 5 first periods as a favorite. So perfect opportunity for the St. Louis Blues to come in that first period. Dylan Holloway has been strong for the Blues. He scored at least 1 goal in for the Blues last 5 games. So Dylan Holloway, definitely a playmaker out there for them tonight. Joe, you're always taking your Kraken. Every single game you're taking your Kraken, Joe. Come on. The Seattle Kraken, that's who we're going to talk about. Joe, you've been waiting to throw that out. I know you have. The Florida Panthers taking on the Seattle Kraken. We all know Joe is rolling with the Seattle Kraken in regulation. You're going to get great plus money if you take the Kraken in regulation. Bobrovsky had a great game in his last one out. Got that 3-1 win versus the San Jose Sharks after his wife did have that baby. So we got that goalie off the birth of a child kind of storyline in play in that game. Now he's coming out here, and you look at the Florida Panthers in that game versus the Sharks. They won it 3-1. They came across a hot Mackenzie Blackwood because you look, they put up 52 shots in that game, only putting 3 in the back of the net. Joey Decord didn't play on Sunday because of illness, and he's listed as expected today. We're still seeing that illness beside his name. So what are we going to get out of Joey Decord if he does come to play? We're not sure if he's going to be in net. Joey Decord does have good numbers on the season and versus the Florida Panthers, so he could come out nice and strong. I don't know if I can back aside here looking at the unknown. With that, I do think we see the goals in the first period. One thing we've seen with the Kraken, they had that 7-5 performance versus the New York Rangers on their last game out. I do think we see both teams come out strong in that first period. But Bobrovsky, when he gets hit, he normally gets hit early and then really settles down in goals. So I could see the both teams scoring in the first period in the over 1.5, nicely coming in and catching. When we look at the Florida Panthers, it's hard not to just look at a team total. I'm expecting the team total here for the Florida Panthers, even though this total is sitting at 6.5, to be a 4.5 because they're a $2 favorite. So actually this total has dropped to 5.5. Really interesting. We're seeing a 5.5 minus 130 to the over. I think the Florida Panthers put up their share of the goals. You got to wonder if the Seattle Kraken off of that big game versus New York Rangers can do the same thing. We've seen the Seattle Kraken lose the last 4 first periods versus the Atlantic as a dog. So that's the situation they're in here with the Florida Panthers first in the Atlantic. You could just look at the Florida Panthers in the first period on that puck line laying a half goal, because then it doesn't matter if Seattle comes back. We've seen Seattle fight back in these games. This is a team, the Rangers got up on them in that last game, and then the Rangers let it go. The Kraken were able to get, 3 goals in the second, or 4 goals in the second, 3 in the other, or vice versa. So this is a team that battles back in these games. The Panthers team total, I'm assuming, is at 3.5. With a total of 5.5. You'll get great plus money to the over. But when you look at this team, in their last 6 games, averaging 5.16 goals per game, 31 goals in those last 6 games. So they've won their last 2. This is the first game on the road of a 5-game road trip. This is one of the games where, when they first get out on the road, could it be a letdown? It could be, but this team is just so hot offensively. I think they want to finish off before the Christmas season continue to roll that way. They have Vancouver on Thursday, Calgary on Saturday. Monday, they'll be in Edmonton, and Wednesday, they'll be in Minnesota. So I can't fade the Florida Panthers right now. I think if they win this, they do cover that puck line. Laying 1.5 on the puck line, you guys, is coming in at plus 138. We're starting to lose value. That was closer to plus 149 earlier in the day. They've won the last 6 games they've won. It's been by 2 or more goals. So when they've been winning these games, they have been winning them by multiple goals out there. Now, if you're looking for someone to back for the Seattle Kraken, because I know you guys like the Kraken out there, Shane Wright has scored a goal in each of the Kraken's last 3 games. So he has been playing hot for them. You could definitely look at him. I just want to look at some of these players and what they're looking at. Timothy and Joe are on the same boat, loving the Kraken, and timing is everything. Joe, you are so very right. That will be a hot parlay, Timothy. If the Kraken and the Lightning are able to win, the plus money you are going to get there is going to be absolutely fantastic. I just want to look at a couple of things. Jonathan Quick is 2 goals away from 400, so something to note there. For the goaltending, the shutout wins. We still got Igor Sorokin. No, not Igor Sorokin. Sorokin of the Islanders. I was trying to put Islanders and Sorokin together, and I came up with Igor. He's won. He's got 19 shutouts. He could hit his milestone, but that's going to be a very hard matchup, which I don't think he's going to win versus the Kings. Goalie wins. I just want to look at this. We looked at that. Goalie games. Jonathan Quick has 788 games, 12 away from a milestone. Frederick Anderson is out on IR, but when he comes back, he's 1 away from a milestone. Corpusalo, 14 away from 300. So no big goalies to note that are going to hit anything tonight. I want to look at the points. We know Ovi. Hopefully Ovi gets back soon. Patrick Kane, 6 away from a milestone. Brett Burns, I talked about Brett Burns for Carolina. He is 12 points away from 900. Brett Burns is someone I definitely would be looking at over the next while. I like him tonight for the point. Leon Draisaitl as well, 14 points away from a milestone. Ryan O'Reilly, 5 points away from 800. And Zibanejad, 2 points away from 700. The New York Rangers are done to us all, though, right? If you got Mark Stone when he gets back in the lineup, he's nearing 600. The assist to see if anyone, we got Nathan McKinnon 4 assists away from 400. John Tavares 5 away from that 600 mark as well. So those tonight, or to know Ryan O'Reilly for the Predators, he's 2 assists away from 500. Zibanejad, again, they're dead to us, right? But 399, he's 1 assist away from 400. Let's look at those goals really quick. Jamie Benn, 11 away from 400. Mika, again, 1 away from 300. Vladimir Tarasenko, 3 away from 300. So that's what we're looking at there in games played. Just making sure no one's reaching any milestones tonight because they didn't have a chance to go over these, and no real big milestones that I'm looking at. So you guys, it's time to do that recap. I appreciate you guys again, each and every single one of you, for joining me here every day on Pocket over here on SportsGrid TV. I appreciate you hitting that like button, hitting that retweet button as well. Let's do the recap. We're at the 48-minute mark. We will also do those top 5 players for their points tonight. So I'll mention all of the games. I'll mention the picks and the props in them, and then I'll go back over the top 5. Let's jump into it now. The Philadelphia Flyers taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. I do think the Flyers can get the win here. I'm expecting it to come in overtime. I will be looking for this one to go to overtime. We're looking at the Columbus Blue Jackets first game home off a long road trip. They're off that big win versus the Winnipeg Jets, which they could roll in with momentum, but the Flyers losing their last 3, I think something gives tonight, and they're able to get things done. You're also getting a nice price on them there on the money line. The Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the New Jersey Devils. The Leafs have played so strong versus the New Jersey Devils, and I know Sheldon Keefe would love to stick it to his old team that fired him. I'm just not seeing it come into play. The Leafs have already won this matchup 4-2 this season. Jacob Markstrom gave up those goals, and I think he has a bounce back game. I don't think he allows 4 goals and 22 shots again, but I think this one best is looking at Stolarz to have a fantastic night. He is returning home. He is from the New Jersey area, and I think Stolarz can come out extremely hot. I'm taking this one under the 6.5. I expect this to be another low-scoring game that goes to overtime. I'm expecting 2-2 into overtime again. Now, if you're looking for the playmakers, we know the Leafs have won the last 8 in New Jersey, so don't forget about that. Austin Matthews, I think, has been so hot versus Devils. This is where he loves to get those goals. He's been able to get 18 goals in the last 19 meetings. So I'm counting on Austin Matthews to get us another goal tonight. Jack Hughes, you can look at his shots on goal. But again, because I can't get into these odds on FanDuel, only if it's 3+ with good value would I look at Jack Hughes for those shots on goal, because Toronto's really buying into the lockdown style of defense. The Colorado Avalanche and the Pittsburgh Penguins, I do think you look here, both teams to score in the first period. I can't trust the Penguins defensively. Offensively, they're able to put up these goals there versus the Leafs in that game. And again, like I said, the Leafs off that loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins where they allowed those 5 goals should be really locking down tonight. But the Penguins here in this situation, they put up 5 goals on the Leafs. So I'm looking for both teams to score in the first period, the over 1.5 to come in between these two. Now, if you like the Penguins to go up in that first period, they have won their last 4 first periods at home. I'm hoping the Penguins go up at least for a second, right? Enough time for me to get a bet in on the Avs on the money line. Right now, they're too juiced on the money line. So I want to see Sid or Malkin come out here, or Rust come out here, get that goal in the first period, and then for me to jump back in on Colorado before they score. And I do think Colorado will answer back in that first period. So I'm asking for a lot. Again, if I miss the live betting opportunity because Colorado goes up first, then I miss it. But I'm not laying the juice that I have to lay on Colorado right now going into this game, but I want to get it at better value if the Penguins can score first for us. So lots to watch tonight out there on the ice, watching for those goals to come in and then jumping in on the other side. Because like I said, the overreaction in hockey is extreme on the books. Next, the San Jose Sharks take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Again, this is another live betting opportunity if the Canes can go up in the first period like I'm expecting. I like the Canes in the first period on the puck line, laying the half a goal. I'm not sure, again, what value you're going to get there, but you should get plus money. If you're not getting plus money, or if you're laying juice over -115, -120, I wouldn't touch it. But I do think the Canes can win this first period. Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, and Brett Burns, I would look at them for their points. The problem is they're almost a $6 favorite. The juice keeps jumping up. I think the Sharks, I would jump in back on them plus a 2.5. This team has been surprising in some of these games, and I think they could come out and get those goals on the board, even in a game where they lose this one like 5-3, and we still see the Canes cover the puck line. But again, the puck line isn't enough value. I think the Sharks team total, if you're getting value on that on the books, is in play tonight. I would look at Celebrini and Tyler Toffoli, and I think almost if you look at Celebrini and Tyler Toffoli for a goal, you're better off taking that over anything for the Sharks, because Celebrini should be right around 3-1, Tyler Toffoli right around the same. So if you hit one of those guys, it's better than taking the Sharks team total to that over. The LA Kings and the New York Islanders. Give me the Kings to win this 2-1 style, 3-1 style game. Again, the 5.5 is grossly juiced. It was what? -150 when we looked a couple minutes ago to the under. I would hold this one under 4.5. I don't see more than 4 goals coming in this game. I especially think the Islanders struggle to score in this one on David Rittich. The Kings just really locked down on that defensive side of things. They've won their last 5 games, and they've been strong at locking down. They held the Wild to that only 1 goal. The fear here is that the Kings come out and get those 4 goals. So if you just want to look at the Isles team total to the under, understandable going in that direction. I'm going to take the Kings and parlay that with the under 5.5. I think, well, we know you're going to get plus money. It was what, 3-1 to your money, taking it that way. But I'm also altering that total under 4.5. And I will take the Islanders under their team total. It should be with a 5.5. I'm guessing it's under 2.5. If it's more than minus 120 juice, so I won't hit on it. So that is where I'm going to go with this one. The Boston Bruins versus the Winnipeg Jets. I think this is an overtime game. I really do think this is 2-2 going into OT. I look at how strong the Bruins have played the Jets, winning 7 of the last 8. And while I think the Jets are the better defensive team, the better team on special teams, and better goaltending, it's so hard to step in front of that record with how the Bruins have played them. Some teams just have other teams' numbers in hockey, and it's really bad in a lot of these cases to step in front of it. So I really don't want to do that, you guys. I'm going to stay off the side, but if you like Winnipeg, the Jets, I'd look at the power play points. Like I said, I think these power play points will come. Pasternak is day-to-day. If we see Pasternak definitely not on the ice tonight, then I will put a little bit of money on the Jets, but we're going to start to lose value with that confirmation as well. I would look at Adam Lowry here for the Winnipeg Jets for the goal tonight. The power play points out of Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Josh Morrissey is where I would go in this one. Overtime, I think, is the best bet, and the under. The Calgary Flames taking on the Nashville Predators. It's a mixed bag in this one, right? Like, what are we going to get out of both these teams? Calgary struggles on the road. The Nashville Predators are just struggling. They've only put up 61 goals on the season. They improved. They made so many improvements to their forward unit, and it's not working out there. Losing their last 7 games, 61 goals on the season. Calgary hasn't been able to buy a win on the road, 3-7-4 compared to a 10-3-1 home record. But we're getting the value with Calgary. We're getting Calgary at plus 150. I think Calgary has the opportunity to win this in a lower scoring game because of the struggles we've seen out of both of these teams offensively, especially Calgary on the road offensively and the Predators overall. The under 5.5, I do think is the best play in this one. I also am going to take a chance on Calgary at plus 150. They did beat the Predators already this season. It was a low scoring 2-0 win for them there. Rasmus Andersson has been hot versus the Predators when the Flames are the underdogs, so I'd look at Rasmus Andersson. But like I said, playmakers need to step up, and if you really want to back the Preds, I don't blame you. Roman Josi here and Philip Forsberg. There's 100 reasons why to bet against Calgary and 100 reasons why to bet against the Predators. I have to take Calgary because of the plus money. So it's just how my brain thinks. I can't walk away from that plus money in a situation where something has to give for one of these teams. And Calgary sitting on the cusp of playoffs contention right now. The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Edmonton Oilers. Tampa swept Edmonton in the regular season last season. And I do think, and outscoring them 13-8, like it just wasn't like an easy outscoring or easy wins or hard wins over Edmonton. They outscored them huge. The over has cashed in the last 3 as well. So if you're nervous about going against Edmonton at home, we know how strong this offense can be. You can just look at the over. I will take Tampa at the plus 130. I'll also look at this one to go over at 6.5. I think both teams to score in the first period. We get a hot start out of these teams. Braden Point has been so strong for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I like him to be able to get a point on the board. The Minnesota Wild versus the Utah Hockey Club. I think the Wild win this again in a low-scoring game. I would take the Wild and parlay that with the under 5.5. The biggest question mark on that under is if Utah, the Hockey Club, and Vermelka will allow those goals to come in by the Minnesota Wild, who lost on the road on Saturday 4-1. So it's going to depend on what attitude the Wild are in. Could Kaprizov come out and get us a hat trick and this game then go over that total because Kaprizov is on absolute fire, taking out that frustration on Vermelka and the Hockey Club? Absolutely. So you got to be cautious with this. If you want to look at Utah's team total, that is the team that I trust the most to put up the least goals, if that makes sense. I trust the Wild's defense to really lock down here on the Utah Hockey Club. So that's where I would go. I'd go again with Kaprizov for those goals. Looking at the St. Louis Blues taking on the Vancouver Canucks, I'm going to look at St. Louis Blues in the first period on the money line. Here they're coming in as the underdog versus Vancouver. Vancouver has got off to slow starts in their games. They've lost the last 5 first periods as a favorite, and we know this team's had struggles at home. I do think this is a lower scoring one. We know the Blues don't put up a heck of a lot of goals, and Demko, I think the Blues will hit him first, and then Demko will respond. This is his second game back from that knee surgery. He did take the L in that last game versus the Tampa Bay Lightning on his birthday to add insult to injury. But I think here you will see Demko record the win. This is another live betting opportunity because, again, I think St. Louis has that ability to get off to a faster start than Vancouver, and then Vancouver answer back. At the juice you're laying on Vancouver going into this game, it's not worth it. Again, if I lose the best of this number, then I don't care. You don't have to bet everything out there on the ice. So I'll take St. Louis first period. If Vancouver goes up first, then they go up first. I can't come back in on them. I'm trying to get a better number on Vancouver right now. They're too big of favorites here for me to lay that price. So Dylan Holloway has been strong for the St. Louis Blues. We know Jake Neighbor, Robert Thomas has been as well. DeBrusque there for Vancouver. Vancouver has a ton of playmakers offensively, but I do think this is a lower scoring game here, especially because of Demko, and Jordan Binnington should do enough in this one. The Florida Panthers taking on the Seattle Kraken. You guys, the Florida Panthers have been so hot offensively. I don't want to go against it. We've seen them in their last 6 games put up 31 goals. So that's an average of 5.16 goals per game. That is the number that I can't look past. I'd look at their team total to the over. The thing is, this game has a total of 5.5. Joey Daccord has been away with illness. He didn't play Sunday as scheduled. We're expected to see him in this game. We'll see how he's able to return, but against his hot offense, it's going to be a struggle in this one. I would look at both teams to score in the first period, the over 1.5 in the first period. And I think we do see the Florida Panthers continue to roll hot. When they're winning these games, they are covering that puck line -1.5 at +142. The Seattle Kraken did get a big win over the Rangers, but look at the Rangers. I know a lot of you want to back them, but it's hard here. Now, could you look at the Florida Panthers to come in hot in the first period and for the Kraken to come back and answer? You absolutely could, and that's the thing, because this Kraken team never gives up. I appreciate you too, Joe, even your Kraken out there that have been killing me on the books as of late, and I know you have been cashing with them, so congratulations to you on that. Yeah, that overtime bet was fantastic with them and Joe, and I hopefully you grabbed them on the money line as well when they went down, as we talked about. And that's the thing in hockey, looking at these live betting situations. So that is the recap, you guys. We're at the 1 hour point. We're quickly going to go over those parlay points that I'm liking out there and who I do think will get them. I will take a point for Kaprizov of the Minnesota Wild out here. I think it's a fantastic look for him versus Utah tonight. I'm going to take the point with Braden Point of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Again, I think he has every ability to put a point on the board versus the Edmonton Oilers. I'm going to then look at Rasmus Andersson of the Calgary Flames for the point. He's been strong at getting them on the board. I don't love to take points in lower scoring games, but I think he will be a playmaker in that one. When I'm looking at the Winnipeg Jets, you got to look at Kyle Connor for the point. He is just so strong. And I know there's so many other playmakers on the Winnipeg Jets that you could jump on. I just think he is the one that you want to circle tonight. And then let's look here. I'm just trying to, we will stay on Tyler Toffoli and Celebrini. You guys know I love both of them to come in. It's got to be Austin Matthews if you're looking for my top 5. Austin Matthews has played so hard versus the Devils. You got to look at him for his point tonight. So that is Austin Matthews. Will go in reverse order. Austin Matthews for the point, Kyle Connor for the point, Rasmus Andersson for the point, Braden Point for the point. I always love saying that. I don't know why I like it so much. And Kaprizov for the point tonight. So that is where I go with those 5 guys to kind of round robin for their points tonight. Could I see the majority of them getting goals? Yeah, we absolutely could. I like the point parlay if you're round robining them, though. You guys, all of you that have been here for the last hour, thank you so very much for joining me for Puck It with Joe over here on SportsGrid TV on X. I hope you guys have an absolutely awesome day out there. Have some fun. We got the countdown to Christmas. I got to start my Christmas shopping. Who else hasn't started Christmas shopping? This is nuts. How is Christmas? 15 sleeps, right? Or do I have 14? That's a 10. Oh, man. We are counting down, you guys. I will see you tomorrow here at noon Eastern for Puck It with Jo.